Pit Special, of course, one of the greatest aerobatic aircraft of all time. Originally conceived by Curtis Pitts before even the end of World War II in 1944, but it was developed continually over the years, and indeed people are still developing more and more competitive, as it were, versions of the Pit Special. Many famous aerobatic teams were mounted on these aircraft. The Rothmans aerobatic team, of course, for many years. Leading them, he was in the Cosmic Wind earlier. Dave Bulliston, the number 2, was almost preordained, one might say, that Richard Grace would develop an interest in aviation and want to become a pilot himself. He is the son of 2 very famous display pilots, the late Nick Grace and, of course, Carolyn, who along with Richard still flies the family Spitfire. As you can see, the 2 aircraft have carried out an opposition break and they'll be running in towards one another for a cross and rejoin. Amounts of power at the disposal of the 2 pilots, 180 horsepower each from the Lycoming IO360 piston engines. But this is enough to power the pits to 200 miles an hour as a top speed. And this aircraft, of course, has a great power to weight ratio, weighing just 522 kilograms. And now a very attractive manoeuvre coming up as they pull up the synchronized stall turns.
We've got a few more over that one. Still good battery.
Very, very nicely synchronized there. Next up into a very elegant barrel roll, remaining all the while in close formation. Dave Bulliston positioned just behind and below Richard Grace in the lead, with just around 5 feet separation between the aircraft.
You getting better pictures than we are?
And so head on towards us for the 3/4 loop break. Richard Grace calling the manoeuvres. He flew his first display at the age of 20 in a Castle Racer Formula 1 racing aeroplane at the Red Bull Air Race at Longleat in 2006. And he formed his first display. Richard is an aircraft engineer. He started out at the age of Agent 13 working for the Minor Collection in his summer holidays. Just 5 years later, he started to be employed as a full-time engineer on the family Spitfire. Today, he manages a fully equipped maintenance facility station, as indeed of these aircraft, at headquarters in Suffolk. This is Richard showing us a solo demonstration here of the Pitz's aerobatic capabilities. Following on, Dave Burston, who started out as a glider pilot, just 14. And as a display pilot, in a relatively humble fashion as he began to make his way in aviation. Well, he's now pilot for the Duxford Airshow UK, Swanton Mall in New Zealand. David played in the form of flying hours. He became what's colloquially known in the trade as a hangar rat, doing stuff like cleaning aeroplanes, sweeping the hangar floor. But all the while he was building up his experience in some interesting aircraft types. His first flight at a Pitts Special, Dave made aged just 17. This was just after he had got his private pilot's license, and of course it was before he was even able to drive a car. So now the two aircraft rejoining in front of us. I was mentioning the Pitts Special's performance. It's able to climb at a rate of over 2,500 feet per minute. Nowadays the aircraft rather outclassed in the top level of international aerobatic competitions by more modern types like the Extras and the Sukhois, the Edges and so forth. It remains a really effective display mount and also a good entry-level aerobatic aeroplane. The Pitts pair was formed in 2010 by Richard and Dave, and since then they've got sponsorship from Trig Aerobatic, an avionics company specialising in such equipment for light aeroplanes. But now they come in for the mirror pass. Approaching the end of a really dynamic sequence here. The aircraft now the right way up. They'll be coming in head on to us on what we call the B-axis. The A-axis is the one straight down the runway lines. The B-axis is the one at 90 degrees onto that. As they come in for a head-on pull-up. 1, 2, 3. There they go, braking, ready for a final crossover manoeuvre onto a knife edge to complete their display. So coming in for their final pass, Richard Grace, Dave Fullerton, putting this F1B special together, 2014 Trig Aerobatic team. Aerobatic. Both of them now flying the great Spitfire. Richard also now with experience on the Jet 3 as well, another aircraft. There they are coming in to grab excellent aerobatic contribution to today's display. Well, in fact, here's Warbirds. Obviously naval warbirds and Cross the White collection. Here comes the trio, of course, they are leading with the aircraft here in the furthest away. US naval fighters, all American designed and built aeroplanes, all rather different in appearance. Inverted gull wing configuration of the Corsair, very apparent indeed. That's due to the need to incorporate